In the heart of a relentless snowstorm, a mother dog lay motionless, her golden coat dulled by frost. She barely clung to life, her shallow breaths moving the snow around her faintly. 6 tiny puppies nestled against her, their fragile forms trembling under the growing blanket of snow. Nearby, the town of Bright Hollow was silent, its streets buried under unyielding drifts. On the outskirts of town lived Martha, a widow of 65. She was a woman of quiet resilience, her days spent tending to small tasks in her secluded cottage. That evening, as the storm howled outside, Martha's firewood ran low. She bundled herself in a thick coat and braced against the icy wind to retrieve more logs. As she neared the woodpile, her gaze was drawn to a shadow near the forest's edge, a mound half buried in snow. Curiosity and concern propelled her forward. When she reached the scene, her heart shattered. Before her lay a golden retriever chained to a post, her body curled protectively around her puppies. The mother's emaciated frame spoke of weeks, perhaps months, of neglect. "Oh, you poor things," Martha whispered, her voice trembling. She reached out to touch the mother dog's stiff fur, recoiling at its icy chill. But then she noticed a faint rise and fall of the dog's chest. She was alive, barely. Martha's hands worked quickly, unfastening the cruel chain that had bound the dog. She wrapped the puppies in her scarf and gently lifted the frail mother into her arms. "Don't worry," she murmured. "I've got you now." With her precious cargo, Martha trudged back to her cabin, the storm raging around her. By the time she reached her door, her arms burned from the effort, but her determination held strong. Inside, the warmth of the hearth embraced them like a lifeline. Martha arranged the puppies around their mother, watching as they burrowed into her side. The mother stirred slightly, her eyes opening to meet Martha's gaze. In that fleeting connection, Martha felt an unspoken plea and a promise to keep them safe. The storm raged through the night, its fury battering the walls of Martha's small cottage. Inside, however, a fragile calm began to take hold. The golden retriever, whom Martha decided to call Hope, lay on a blanket near the fire. Her 6 puppies, now warmed and sheltered, nestled tightly against her side. Martha sat close by, her hands trembling as she gently stroked Hope's matted fur. The dog's ribs protruded sharply, and the wound around her neck from the chain was raw and angry. "Who could do this to you?" Martha whispered, sorrow and anger mingling in her voice. As the fire crackled softly, Martha turned her attention to the puppies. They were so small, their cries weak but growing stronger as the warmth seeped into their tiny bodies. She fetched a bowl of warm milk and coaxed the smallest pup to lap at it. Slowly the others followed, their frailty giving way to hunger. Hope stirred weakly, her eyes fluttering open to watch her puppies. Despite her pain, there was a glimmer of love in her gaze, as she nuzzled one of the pups that had wriggled closer. Martha marveled at the dog's resilience, her instinct to protect and comfort her young, even in the direst of circumstances. "I won't let you suffer any longer," Martha said softly. She knew she had to do more than simply provide warmth for this little family. Hope needed medical attention, and the puppies needed more care than she could give on her own. The night stretched on as Martha sat by the fire, tending to Hope and her puppies. She cleaned the mother dog's wounds as best she could, murmuring soothing words with each gentle touch. Hope flinched at first, but soon relaxed under Martha's careful hand. As the first light of dawn filtered through the frosted windows, the storm finally began to wane. The snow outside glistened in the pale winter sun, a stark contrast to the despair that had filled the night. Inside the cabin, there was a different kind of glow, one of quiet resolve. "You're safe now," Martha said, her voice thick with emotion, "and I'll make sure you never feel abandoned again." She stroked Hope's head, and for the first time, the dog's tail gave a faint, grateful wag. The days that followed were filled with equal parts joy and concern. Hope remained weak, her strength slow to return despite Martha's best efforts. The puppies, however, began to thrive under Martha's care. Each day brought new signs of life, their tiny tails wagging, soft barks echoing in the once silent cabin, and playful scuffles over the warm hearthrug. Martha quickly grew attached to the little family, learning their unique personalities. The two largest puppies, Jack and Charlie, were adventurous and bold, often leading their siblings in curious explorations. Rosie and Belle, the two girls, were full of gentle mischief, their playful antics bringing laughter to Martha's heart. The smallest two, Pip and Theo, were shy but endearing, always staying close to their mother's side. But amidst the joy of the puppies' blossoming energy, Martha couldn't ignore Hope's condition. The mother dog ate sparingly, her body frail, and her eyes heavy with exhaustion. One evening, as Hope lay by the fire, Martha knelt beside her and gently stroked her head. "You've done so much for them," Martha whispered, her voice breaking. "Now, let me take care of you." The next morning, Martha bundled Hope and the puppies into her old truck and braved the icy roads to the nearby town of Willow Bend. At the veterinary clinic, she was met by Dr. Amelia Hayes, a kind-hearted vet who had cared for the animals of Willow Bend for over 2 decades. Dr. Hayes examined Hope with gentle hands, her expression growing more serious as she worked. "Martha," she said softly, "Hope is severely malnourished, and there are signs she's been living in neglect for a long time. But I'm most concerned about a mass near her hind leg. It could be osteosarcoma, a form of bone cancer." Martha's heart sank. "Is there anything we can do?" she asked, tears welling in her eyes. Dr. Hayes sighed. "At this stage, it's about keeping her comfortable. She may not have long, but with the right care, we can ensure her final days are filled with love." Martha nodded, her determination hardening. "Then that's what we'll do. She'll know nothing but kindness from now on." As they returned home, Martha glanced at Hope in the rearview mirror. The mother dog's eyes met hers, and in that moment, Martha felt a surge of purpose. No matter how much time Hope had left, she would make sure every moment was meaningful. Back at the cabin, Martha dedicated herself entirely to Hope and the puppies. The once quiet home now pulsed with life, the puppies filling the air with tiny barks and the soft patter of their paws. Despite the joy they brought, Martha's heart weighed heavily as she watched Hope's condition decline. The puppies were thriving, stronger, livelier with each passing day. Jack and Charlie, ever adventurous, often tussled playfully on the rug. Rosie and Belle shared an inseparable bond, their wagging tails and bright eyes a constant source of delight. Pip and Theo, though smaller and quieter, had a mischievous streak, their tiny noses always poking where they shouldn't. But Hope remained frail, her body struggling to recover. Her appetite dwindled, and the brightness in her eyes began to dim. Even so, her love for her puppies never wavered. She nuzzled them gently whenever they crawled to her side, her presence a source of comfort and calm. One evening, as the puppies dozed by the fire, Martha sat beside Hope, stroking her head. "You're so strong," she murmured. "Even now, you're still giving everything for them." Tears pricked her eyes as she spoke. "But you don't have to carry this alone anymore. I promise I'll care for them, and for you." The next day, Martha shared Hope's story with her closest neighbor, Emma, who ran the village bakery. Emma listened with tears in her eyes as Martha described finding Hope and the puppies in the storm and the heartbreaking news from the vet. "You've done so much already," Emma said, her voice firm but kind. "But you don't have to do this alone. Let me help." By the week's end, the story of Hope and her puppies had spread throughout Willow Bend. Moved by Martha's compassion, the townsfolk rallied together to support her. Emma placed a donation jar on the bakery counter, and it quickly overflowed with coins, bills, and notes of encouragement. A local carpenter crafted a sturdy gate to contain the energetic puppies, while a retired seamstress sewed soft blankets for Hope. Children from the school painted pictures of the little family, which Martha hung proudly on her walls. Surrounded by this outpouring of love, Martha felt a renewed strength. Hope's story had touched hearts, uniting a community in kindness. "You're not alone anymore," Martha whispered to Hope one evening as the fire crackled warmly. "We're all here for you now." As Hope's health continued to decline, the people of Willow Bend rallied to make her final days unforgettable. It was Emma who suggested the idea at one of the bakery's community meetings. "We should make a bucket list for Hope," Emma said, her voice steady but emotional. "She deserves to experience the joy and love she's missed in her life." The suggestion was met with resounding support. Together, the townsfolk created a list of simple, meaningful experiences to bring Hope happiness in her remaining days. A peaceful walk in the snowy woods, a cozy indoor picnic by the fire, a family photo session with the puppies, a roast chicken feast prepared just for Hope, a day of play and celebration in the town park. The very next morning, the first item on the list came to life. Wrapped in a warm coat, Hope was carefully bundled by Martha and taken to the snowy woods behind the cabin. Jack, Charlie, Rosie, Belle, Pip, and Theo bounded ahead, their tiny paws leaving playful tracks in the fresh snow. Hope moved slowly, her steps measured but deliberate. Martha stayed close, her hand resting on the dog's back in gentle support. The crisp air filled their lungs, and the sunlight filtering through the branches painted the snow in a golden glow. For the first time in weeks, Hope's tail gave a small wag. The sight brought tears to Martha's eyes, her heart swelling with both joy and sorrow. "Look at them," she whispered to Hope. "They're so full of life because of you." The next item on the list, a picnic by the fire, turned into a community event. Neighbors arrived with baskets of fresh bread, warm soups, and homemade treats. Martha ensured Hope had a prime spot near the hearth, where she lay surrounded by her puppies. Emma roasted a chicken to perfection, placing it gently in front of Hope. Her tail thumped against the floor, wagging furiously as she devoured the meal. The puppies, now full of energy, nibbled on smaller portions, filling the cabin with laughter and warmth. That evening, as the fire crackled and the room buzzed with joy, Martha watched Hope rest with her puppies nestled close. "You've brought us together," Martha murmured, stroking Hope's head, "and we'll make sure every moment counts." The snowy days of winter passed with a bittersweet rhythm in Willow Bend. While Hope grew weaker, her spirit remained steadfast. The love she had received from Martha and the community seemed to sustain her, even as her body faltered. One of the most cherished items on Hope's bucket list was a family photo session. Martha wanted to capture the bond that had formed between Hope, her puppies, and the people who had embraced them. On a crisp afternoon, the town's local photographer, Clara Benson, arrived at the cabin, her camera in hand and her heart full of warmth. The living room was transformed into a cozy backdrop. The fire cast a golden glow, and the walls were adorned with the children's drawings of Hope and her pups. Hope, wrapped in a soft blanket, lay regally on her new dog bed. The puppies, ever lively, tumbled and played around her. Jack and Charlie wrestled for the best spot, while Rosie and Belle posed daintily. Pip and Theo, the smallest, climbed onto Hope, their tiny paws patting her gently. Clara snapped photo after photo, capturing moments of pure love. One frame held Martha cradling Hope, her face full of quiet strength and devotion. Another captured all 6 puppies piled on Martha's lap, their golden coats glowing in the firelight. But it was a single moment that touched everyone in the room. A shot of Hope nuzzling one of her pups, her eyes filled with both pride and love. Clara showed the photo to Martha, who pressed her hand to her chest, tears spilling over. "This," Martha whispered, her voice trembling, "is how I'll always remember her." The photos were printed and framed, one finding its place of honor on Martha's mantel, beside the letter that had led Hope to her care. Others were shared with the townsfolk, who displayed them in homes and shops as a testament to the bond that had united them. As Hope rested peacefully that night, Martha sat by her side, holding her paw. "You've made us all better," she said softly. "You've shown us what it means to love unconditionally." Hope's tail gave the faintest wag, and Martha smiled through her tears. No matter how much time remained, she knew Hope's legacy would live on in every heart she had touched. Winter held its quiet grip over Willow Bend, the snow falling softly outside Martha's cabin. Inside, the warmth of the fire wrapped around the room, casting long, flickering shadows over the little family. Hope rested near the hearth, her breathing shallow but peaceful. Her puppies, now stronger and full of life, tumbled over each other in playful scuffles. Martha watched them, her heart heavy yet full of gratitude. Hope had given her so much, more than she could have imagined. She had brought light into Martha's solitary life, uniting a town and reminding everyone of the boundless power of love and compassion. One snowy morning, as sunlight streamed through the frost-laced windows, Martha knew the time had come. Hope's strength had dwindled, her body too frail to carry her any further. Martha knelt beside her, gently cradling the dog's head in her hands. "You've done so much," Martha whispered, tears streaming down her face. "You've been a fighter, a protector, and the heart of this little family. It's okay to rest now. You're safe, and you're loved, always." Hope's eyes met Martha's one last time, filled with a quiet gratitude that needed no words. With a final sigh, her body stilled, and she slipped away, surrounded by warmth, love, and the family she had fought so hard to protect. Martha held her for a long time, her tears falling softly onto Hope's golden fur. The puppies, sensing the stillness, gathered around, their tiny bodies pressing against Martha in a silent gesture of comfort. Later that day, beneath the old oak tree in Martha's yard, Hope was laid to rest. A simple stone marked the spot, engraved with her name. Hope, a loyal heart, a gentle spirit. The townsfolk gathered, bringing flowers and lighting candles, their faces reflecting the profound impact Hope had left on their lives. Emma placed a bouquet of white lilies by the grave, her voice breaking as she said, "She taught us all what it means to care for one another." Though the loss was heavy, Martha felt a deep sense of peace. Hope's puppies, now thriving and full of life, carried her spirit forward. With the help of the community, Martha found loving homes for each one, ensuring they would grow up surrounded by kindness and care. But Martha kept one, little Theo, the smallest and most tender of the litter. He became her constant companion, a reminder of the love and hope that had filled her home during that unforgettable winter. As the days turned to spring and the snow began to melt, the story of Hope and her puppies became a cherished memory in Willow Bend. Her legacy lived on in the laughter of the puppies, the warmth of the community, and the simple truth that love, even in the darkest of times, has the power to transform lives. Standing by the oak tree one evening, Martha whispered, "You were never abandoned, Hope. You were always loved, and you always will be." The wind carried her words gently through the trees, a quiet echo of the love that had bound them all together. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our latest videos. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Thank you all for taking the time to watch, and see you in the next video.